Good day to you all. Welcome to Maths Global Learning Hub at Mr. T. In today's lesson, we are given statements and we are going to write them as algebraic expressions. The first one reads, the sum of a number. I'm going to underline here, the sum of a number and 7. Let's choose a letter to represent this number. I have noticed that mathematicians are very comfortable with using the letter X. I'm also going to use the letter X here to represent the number. Another key word in this statement is the word sum. And when we see the word sum, we are going to use this operation here, plus. So my final answer is going to be X plus 7. In the next question, the difference between 8 and a number. The difference between 8 and a number. I'm going to make my number X. And I see the word difference here implies that I'm going to use a minus sign. And my final answer is going to be 8 minus X. The next question reads, 3 times a number. Let's call this number here X. When we see times, we use the operation of multiplication. And my final answer is going to be 3 times X, which I can write as 3x. In the next question, we are given that the cube root of a number. Let's choose the number here. We call this number here x. We write down the sign for the cube root. And inside the cube root sign, I'm going to put the number here, which is represented by the letter X. In the next question, a number raised to the power of 8. A number, let's use the letter X for our number. What have we done to this number? We have raised it to the power of 8. So it's going to be X to the exponent of 8. In the next question, the sum of half a number and another different number. So I'm going to call my first number here X, and then I'm going to call my next number here Y. Let's connect this statement into an algebraic expression. The sum of half a number. Half of a number, I can write it like this. But I have the word sum here, so I'm going to use plus y, which is the different number. In the next question, it says here, the difference between 3 and thrice a number. We have to be very careful here. Thrice means 3 times our number, and we are going to call this number x. So the difference between 3, what operation sign am I going to use here? I'm going to use minus because my keyword here is difference. And my final answer is going to be 3 minus 3x. If I move on to number 8, the quotient of a number. Let's call this number here x again. So our operation here is divided. I can write my answer as x divided by 3, which can be written as x over 3. I can also write it as 1 over 3x. And when I write it in this format here, I am able to identify that the coefficient of x is 1 over 3. In number 9, The question reads 17 less than a number. I'm going to use a different letter now. I'm going to represent this number with the letter H. But I have to be very careful here. What should I write first? The number or the variable? Let's read the question again. 17 less than a number. So I'm going to start with H followed by minus 17 because of this word here, less than. In the next question, it reads 3 more than the product of 4 and a number. 3, I can start here, 3 more than is represented by plus the product of a number, the product of 4 and a number. Let's call this number here B. So if I connect here, I'm going to get 4B. Let's read this question carefully. 3 more than the product of 4 and a number. So this part here is representing the product of 4 and a number, and our number is represented by the letter B. In the next question, it reads the product of 8 and a number. The product of 8 and a number. I'm going to call this number here M. And then my final answer is going to be 8 times M, which can be written as 8M. Remember what I said when the lesson started, mathematicians are very comfortable in using the letter X, but we can represent this number here by any letter on the alphabet when we are doing algebra. The next question reads, the sum of a number. The sum of a number and 5. So let's create this number here, and the letter that I'm going to choose for my number is P. So it's going to be P plus 5, which is multiplied by 7. So I'm going to multiply here by 7, so I can put a bracket here and put 7 inside. And if I want, I can write it as 7, then P plus 5. And in the last question, it reads 2 less than the product of 8 and a number. Let me repeat again here. 2 less than the product of 8 and a number. So we have to be very careful here. Which part am I going to write first? I'm going to write this part here which says the product of 8 and a number. But I have to choose my letter here to represent this number. So I'm going to say let the number equal to K. So I'm going to write 8K. Because of the word less than in the statement, I'm going to use the sign minus 2. Thank you very much. Stay blessed, and together we shall conquer the world of mathematics.